The U.S. military is being accused of killing dozens of civilians, including women and children, during a 2019 airstrike in Syria. U.S. Central Command's original investigation alleges 4 people were killed and 8 civilians were wounded during an airstrike on March 18, 2019. The strike was carried out near the town of Baghouz. It was the caliphate's last stronghold in Syria. The airstrike was part of the final U.S. battle with the Islamic State. The U.S. military claimed victory over ISIS just 5 days later. A New York Times investigation alleges the U.S. military failed to thoroughly investigate what it calls one of the largest civilian casualty incidents during the years-long war with ISIS. The investigation also accuses the military of covering up the details of the strike from the public. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin joins us now from the Pentagon. Hi, David. Thanks for being with us. So several U.S. military officials and CIA personnel are questioning the legitimacy of this airstrike. Who was behind it, and how did they justify taking this type of action?
Well, it was a strike called in by U.S. Special Operations Forces who were backing up the local forces who were actually on the front lines fighting ISIS in this final battle of that long war with ISIS. And they claimed, according to the New York Times investigation, that they were in imminent danger, which gave them the right of self-defense and short-circuited a whole series of procedures which usually have to be followed before you can declare a target legitimate. The U.S. military prides itself on the lengths it goes to prevent civilian casualties, and it is an elaborate set of procedures which include actually having a military lawyer sign off on declaring it a legitimate target. But under the inherent right of self-defense, which all U.S. troops have everywhere in the world, those procedures go by the way. So, for instance, if you're a soldier manning a checkpoint and you see a truck approaching at high speed, you don't have to check with a lawyer before you open fire. So that apparently was the justification used, at least according to the New York Times, and part of the investigation now is to determine whether that was a legitimate justification or just used as a reason to short-circuit all of these procedures.
So some sort of, like you said, self-defense situation arose, and that's how all the procedures were circumvented in this particular instance?
Well, that is, according to the New York Times, the claim. What makes that claim questionable is that the U.S. troops were supposed to be back from the front lines. They were supposed to be behind the first hill, just calling in airstrikes in support of the frontline local forces who were actually in contact with the enemy. So obviously you can be behind a hill and still be subject to mortar fire or rocket fire. So just being behind a hill doesn't make you safe. But apparently this, according again to the New York Times, this self-defense justification was used repeatedly in the air war against ISIS inside Syria. And since they were supposed to be back from the front lines, that's another reason to question the legitimacy of this airstrike.
And as you pointed out, this is not a common practice, correct? This is not the usual way an airstrike usually unfolds.
Well, there are different categories of airstrikes. There's the planned airstrike. You've found a target and you observe it for days, weeks, months. Everybody looks at it. Lawyers look at it. You observe the pattern of life of people going in and out of a building, for instance, and you determine that no civilians are there, or you determine that no civilians are there after, say, 10 o'clock at night, and you hit it after 10 o'clock. That's the kind of procedure that is normally followed. But then you have what you might call a pop-up target. In the midst of war, targets appear suddenly.
Right.
And this was a battle, a dynamic situation with people trying to kill each other. And so you just do not have time to go through all of those procedures. And in this case, according to the version reported by the New York Times, they were checking with all their units to see if there were any civilians in this area, and the answer was no. And there was a drone that was providing video, and the drone did not see any civilians. And then the strike happened, and it was three 500-pound bombs, which does a lot of damage. And go ahead.
Sorry, David, I was just wondering how to explain the discrepancy between U.S. Central Command's original investigation, which claims only 4 civilians were killed and 8 injured in the airstrike, and now the New York Times is reporting that there were perhaps as many as 80 civilian casualties. I mean, that's a pretty wide discrepancy. How did Central Command conduct this initial investigation?
Well, the reason that Central Command gives for that discrepancy is that there were a large number of other people who were killed, and what Central Command is saying, it could not determine whether those roughly 60 people were civilians or were fighters, although they seem to agree that most of them were women and children. Women and children can carry weapons and can fight, and some of them were in these final days of the ISIS caliphate. So that is the explanation that Central Command gives. You can see why some people might look at that and think of it as more of a whitewash or an excuse.
And is there any explanation for why there wasn't a more thorough investigation following the strike? I mean, we know that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has ordered a briefing on the airstrike, but I mean, if it weren't for the New York Times report, was there more investigating going into this?
Well, there were a number of other investigations, because the people who originally reported this as a potential war crime were not satisfied with the results of the investigation, and so it was even reported to the Pentagon Inspector General. But that report is classified top secret, and so neither the Times nor anybody else has been able to get a look at it. What Secretary Austin wants from General McKenzie is, I think, both an explanation of what happened during the airstrike and what happened with this investigation. Because no matter which numbers you accept from the investigation, whether you accept the numbers that CENTCOM, Central Command, arrived at, 4 dead, 8 wounded, or you accept the larger number of perhaps 60 civilians killed, no deaths were reported by Central Command on its monthly reporting of civilian casualties, which is a public document, which I get to see every month, and this strike just wasn't there.
Interesting. I'm sure we will be hearing more about this strike and the investigation into it. David Martin, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Sure thing.